This is Lemmy with RevZilla. I'm here in sunny San Diego for the North American press launch of the new Yamaha XSR900. Now, we've been pretty excited about this motorcycle ever since we reported on it live from the EICMA show in Italy. But instead of this being a figment of our imagination or an idea, it's now a real live motorcycle. Now, Yamaha has agreed to let me beat one of these up for a full review, but that's not going to be till a little bit later this summer. So in the meanwhile, before we feast on that big heavy review, think of this press launch as sort of an hors d'oeuvre for the XSR900. Now keep in mind too that this review is just one of many we do at RevZilla.com, where we beat up bikes, parts, gear, and report back to you on exactly how they perform. So while I'm suiting up, make sure that you subscribe to us so you can catch that full review later this summer. Let's go for a ride, huh? So when Spurgey and I get on these bikes to do the reviews, we're always really excited to tell you how fast the bike is, how much power it makes, or how it gets through a turn. And believe me, we're gonna cover lots of that in the full review. But the things that struck me most when I first swung a leg over the XSR were actually intangibles. I was very struck by how practical a motorcycle this is and what a good value it is. So let's talk about practicality. If you look down here on the front end of this baby, you're gonna see twin 4-pot calipers grabbing those big old rotors up there. You're also gonna see an upside down front end. We got a liquid cooled 115 horsepower engine. On paper, this bike is hitting all the right notes, and it's also hitting them as I'm riding down the road. A lot of the time when you're shopping in this retro class, you wind up giving up performance for a look. Unfortunately, with the XSR, it seems like a lot of buyers aren't gonna have to do that. So when we talk about value too, this is one of the cheaper bikes in the segment. $94.90 gets you in the door into an XSR. I think it's a really impressive price. Yamaha has given you a lot of bike for that little amount of money. I think that they really have done a good job there. I'm a pretty tough customer, and I really feel like you're getting a lot of bike for their price of entry. Now, coming back to both a mix of value and pragmatism, in the retro category, almost everything is basic and stripped down. Not the XSR. You're getting ABS, you're getting multiple throttle modes, you're also getting traction control, and that's all standard. That's included in that $94.90 price. I can't believe how much they're actually delivering for that kind of money. I think Yamaha is really delivering the goods on this bike, and they're really upping the bar as far as what a bike buyer nowadays can expect out of their motorcycle. So one of the other things I really loved about this motorcycle are the tires on here. Check this out. Look at the back of this baby, a 180/55 ZR17. Up front, we got a 120/70/17. Now, those of you who are reasonably familiar with motorcycles will say, hey, those are world's most common sport bike sizes, and I absolutely love it. Going back to the competitors in the retro category, not every single motorcycle wears such ubiquitous tires. There are a lot of people on retro bikes who are giving up performance because they can't get a set of good skins in their size. So regardless of whether you're gonna be carving canyons like I'm doing right now, or you're gonna take it into the city for an urban assault weapon like I'm going to do a little bit later, you can find a set of shoes that's going to make your Yamaha XSR behave exactly the way you want to. Now I got to get out of here. I'm going to lay a couple more miles down. I'll be back.
So I didn't have long on the XSR900. However, even in the short time I was on this bike, I found it to be a lot of fun. But in that short time though, some flaws did bubble up to the surface on this motorcycle. Most of them for me were aesthetic, which is kind of surprising. I usually don't ding a bike too hard for aesthetic things. They're just so subjective. But there are some things here I do feel bear a little bit of mention. Let's start with the paint job. Man, I'm a sucker for Yamaha speed block paint. This stuff looks awesome. The only problem is, this is an additional $500. So you should consider if you want that paint job, you're gonna be paying an additional $500 for it. Some of the other things I had an issue with were fit and finish related. Let's direct our attention up front. If you look underneath the triple tree there, you'll see all sorts of cables and wires. There's stuff that just should have been cleaned up a little bit. It looks kind of sloppy. Also notice down there too, the horn's just sort of hanging in the breeze. I feel like that could have been hidden or tucked out of the way a little bit better. And then also look at the frame here. See this box on here? I'm fairly certain this is a fuse box on this side. There's a matching one over here on this spar of the frame that you can't see. I don't really know how I feel about it. It looks like it was just kind of scabbed on there. Then, of course, too, there's some parts bin pieces on this motorcycle. For instance, let's move our way to the back of things. These turn signals look like they came straight off of my old Yamaha FZ6, and I'm pretty sure that this taillight here is a Yamaha Bolt item. All in all though, again, I can't complain too much because you know as well as I do, people are just gonna rip this stuff off and clean them up. A little cowling up here and perhaps a tail tighty kit. The aftermarket is gonna go crazy with parts for this thing, and these are gonna be really sharp looking bikes after just a little bit of owner modification. So the only question that remains in my mind is really figuring out exactly who is the XSR900 for. That's what I'm not really certain of. If you listen to Yamaha and believe their marketing materials, you'll probably figure out that this is directed towards the art director type, the type of person who maybe goes and buys his glasses from Warby Parker. But I think it's a lot more than that. I don't buy my glasses from Warby Parker, and I'm really interested in this motorcycle. Those of you guys who follow Common Tread will probably also realize that we were huge fans of the Ducati Scrambler, not because it was an awesome retro bike, but because it was just an awesome bike. But I think Yamaha may have out-Ducati on this one. Yamaha is really reviving the UJM, the Universal Japanese Motorcycle, with a bike like the XSR900. If you think about it, there's really 3 generations of motorcyclists on the road at any one time. You got your 20-somethings, you got your 40s middle-aged crowd, and then the 60-plus crew. So rarely does a bike come along that can satisfy all 3 of those generations simultaneously, but I think the XSR900 is going to manage to pull it off. Now, as is par for the course for me, I had more to say about this bike that we couldn't fit in the video. So cruise on over to Common Tread, read some more of my thoughts on our first ride review of the XSR900. Of course, you also want to subscribe to us too so you can get our full review later on this summer. Now, I gotta get Yamaha's shiny new toy back to him, but I want to put a couple more miles on it first. So I'm Lemmy, and I'm out of here.